Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to my naughty hobby with Amber for another crochet tutorial and also a flash giveaway. If you jump on and let me know that you're watching or just comment on this post, you will be eligible to win 3 skeins of one of my ultimate favorite yarns to use, this Yarn Bee Soft Secret. So it's going to be a skein of this red and garnet. You've probably seen these colors on my tutorial. Also the lilac. And one in hot turquoise. This stuff is a dream to work with, and so if you let me know that you're here and watching, you are eligible to win one of these. I'll pick somebody randomly after the tutorial is over, and I've posted it to my page and get it sent out today. I'm going to be going to the post office, and so I'm glad to have you guys here with me. Let's go ahead and get started on this new stitch sequence. So the thing about stitch sequences is that I'm not actually creating any kind of a new stitch. It's simply using basic stitches to create a new look. So we're going to be working with shells, single crochets, and also chains in this tutorial. If you're not familiar how to do one or multiple of those stitches, I do have other videos available that you're welcome to watch. Hey everybody, jumping on to say hi. All right, so I'll give you guys one more closer look at this sequence that we're going to do. Here's the reverse side of our work, which is just as lovely as the front side. And this is a fun stitch to work. I really enjoyed this. So in order to get this sequence to work up right, you are going to need a multiple of 3 plus 1 if you're doing a foundation row. If you're starting with chains though, you're going to do a multiple of 3 plus 2. And today I'm going to be using, I think this is lightweight yarn. Let me just check my label here. It is a lightweight number 3 and also a 4mm hook. How's the lighting going on here? I feel like it's a little shadowed. And we're going to start off by chaining a total of 20 for this. I have my camera set up a little bit differently, so I'm going to go ahead and adjust it actually. Change isn't always my friend. So if you're following along, go ahead and chain up 20. $18, $19, whoa, split a yarn, 19 and 20. So I have my chain here. Now in the second chain from our hook, so not this one, but this one here, I'm going to work into the back bumps. I'm going to place 1 single crochet. We're going to chain 2, skip the next 2 bumps, and go into the next. We're going to do this all the way across. Sorry, I noticed I was down a little bit further than I should have been. So chain 2, skip the next 2, but I'm working into the bumps. So I'm going to go in here. I prefer going through the back bumps because it makes it easier to work a border on it later. If you want it to have a nice finished look. Then one more into our last stitch. Now we're going to start the sequence of this, of the actual one. That was kind of like the foundation row, but we're going to start the sequence now for this variation of shell. So you're going to turn your work. Thanks, Roberta. This is like a, I don't know, a corally. Let's see what the name of this color is. Oh, it's mauve. I think I'm attracted to mauve. I use mauve a lot. Okay, so in our first stitch here, we're going to do a standing double crochet. And all that is a single crochet and then one chain. So that's my standing double crochet. Into that same stitch, we're going to put 2 more double crochets. Should look like this. Now we're not going to do any more chains, but into each spot from our previous row where we did single crochets, here's one, here's the next, the next, the next. We're going to place 3 double crochets into each of those single crochets. So if you like to go off of stitch count, we're going to skip the next 2 and then do 3 double crochet. To create our shell. There's many different versions of shells out there that you can do, and I love incorporating them into patterns because they give such an intricate look to your finished work. It looks fancy and next level, you know, next level hooker status, but it's actually pretty dang easy. So again, I'm skipping the chain spaces and I'm working 3 double crochet into those single crochets from our previous row. Oh, Jessie, I hope you get to feeling better. I know that crap is really going around. And if you have kids, forget about it. Like, you're done. You're done. Your whole house is done. For a while. Because schools stay sick. At least that's been my experience. Okay, and we're also going to put 3 double crochets into our last stitch as well. I like working with this yarn, but if you don't pay attention, it's definitely splitty. Okay, from here we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. We're going to place a single crochet in our first stitch here. And now we're going to chain 3. We're going to skip 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3. And we want to work around the middle of that shell that we created. The top middle stitch. So if you flip it around, I'm more of a visual person, and that's probably why I love doing these tutorials. We want to keep it even with our work, and so we're going to be going around that middle stitch. And I think that this would be considered a single crochet front post, except for I'm not going to go over the longest part of the post. I'm going to insert my hook right here and go between the stitches like this. And I'm going to work one single crochet. So it should look like that. And I know it looks a little off-centered now, but once you work a couple rows of this, it evens itself out. You're going to chain 2. Now you're only skipping 2 stitches. So we're chaining 2, skipping 2, going again around that middle stitch with a single crochet. We'll continue this across this entire row, chain 2, skip 2, single crochet. Maybe it would be considered the neck of the stitch. Chain 2, skip those into this one here. And we'll do this until the end. We want the end to mimic the beginning, and if you remember, in the beginning we did chain 3, skip 3. So we've come to our second to last shell. Now we're going to skip 3. You could put it into the center and start a new row, but it's going to make for more of a wavy border. I want a straight border so I can do a nice clean looking edge once this is finished, or to connect it to other squares. And then we're going to put a single crochet into the top of that standing double crochet that we did at the beginning of that round. So let's just flip it over quick so you can see that we have that single crochet and then the chain that counts as our stitch. So one single crochet. I'll work it out kind of slow for you guys through the repeat patterns. So we just did rows 2 and 3. Now you're just going to repeat row 2 and 3 until you reach your desired length. And we started with a standing. So you'll turn your work. I think I need to move my chair because I keep drifting down. Sorry about that. 2 double crochet in the first after we do that standing double, and then into each of the single crochets that we did from our previous round. This one here, we're just skipping the chains that we did. I work 3 double crochets right into there. Find that space right here, 3 double crochets. What's up, buddy?
I'm just playing Soul Calibur.
I don't want you playing Soul Calibur. That's not a nice one. Hey, you know better, so don't even start it.
Oh.
Okay? And then in our last stitch, we're going to place 3 more of those double crochets.
I just watch some TV.
That's fine, buddy. You'll chain 1, turn your work, place a single crochet in the first, chain 3, skip 3, and work that single crochet around the third stitch. But now we're only going to chain 2 again here.
Mom,
Yes?
somehow Dad will not stop working on the TV.
I can't help right now, buddy.
What did you help?
I told you that I'm live. I'm doing a tutorial. I know. Okay, I only did 1 there. Got a little sidetracked with my little guy. Mom life. Then again, this last one, I do the chain 3. Now, if you do a chain of 2, it's not going to make a huge difference. You're not going to, trying to get under both loops there. It's just going to be a little bit more tight, so blocking will be more necessary if you don't do that extra chain to reach that side, since we're not going around that post. Since I am running this little flash sale, I'm going to go ahead and work out the entire square that I did for the example piece, just to give people a chance to jump on and say something if they want to. So it's looking like, if we have this turned the right way, I don't know, about 4 more to go. Thanks, Sheena. Hey, Joan. I see my friend Stacy is on watching. What's up, girl? Okay, we just did our rows of singles with chains. So now we go again with the standing double. And 2 double crochet. I'm telling you guys, if you can decode some of these patterns that look intimidating, you'll find that most of them use very basic stitches. It's just where they place them and how many they place, those kinds of things. So don't be intimidated. And if there's ever a technique that you're interested in learning, please don't hesitate to reach out and let me know. You're welcome, Joan. Stacy, my hands are like 100% better. I just had to do away with pretty much all artificial products on my fingernails aside from nail polish. I miss having gels because they made them so much more sturdy, and I tend to be a little rough with my hands. Oh, thanks, Cheryl. I appreciate you jumping on and joining in the conversation. Makes me happy to know that I'm reaching the right people and you guys are finding my tutorials helpful and easy to follow. Because that is my mission. After our shells, we do chain 1, turn, single crochet, chain 3, just for the first and last though. Then we'll move to just chaining 2. And always ending our last one with a chain 3 and then into the top of our standing double crochet. Hi, Tanya. Start with our standing double. I like to work that first single of the standing double a little bit taller to reach the height requirement. It also makes a great alternative to chaining any amount when you're working with double crochets on blankets. Takes out that extra little bulk. See how this is pretty dang straight. And then into each of those single crochets, we're just going to place 3 double crochets. And because we did that chain 3, that's what we're skipping at the end of the shell rows. And 3 double crochet into our last. Hey Gail. Well, luckily I will have this posted to my page after it's all complete, and you can watch it from the beginning. Well, you're welcome, Gladys. Yeah, oftentimes, especially with these tutorials lately, I haven't been doing a lot of written patterns because they get so wordy. It's really difficult to explain, typing down or writing in a way that makes it easy for people to follow. Some people are really good at it. Um, I am not. I try though. I do have some written patterns that I've done, some free ones that you can actually download on my website if you wanted to check those out. But a lot of these newer stitch tutorials that I've been doing, they're very, very wordy. And at least in my own experience, when I've read certain patterns and they get really wordy, and if I find that I keep losing my place and struggle getting back to where I was, that I oftentimes will give up, which I hate to even admit that, but I get frustrated, and that's why I choose to do videos instead. One, two, three chains before we work our last single crochet, which goes right into the top of our standing. Okay, so it should be looking like this. It does tend to lean a little bit more on that left side there, which I think would straighten itself out once you connected them to other squares. Let's see, do we have the same amount? About. I must have worked the second one just a little bit tighter. Then, oh no, I'm missing. We'll do one more shell row before calling her good, unless you guys want to see how I would go about putting a border, then I'd be happy to show you guys, just to make it a little bit easier to connect it to other squares or whatever. I'll flip my name tag down. There we go. And then into that last stitch, we will do 3 double crochets. Now it should be the same size as the first piece that I showed you. Scoot this over just a little bit. So I think that it would make, this is actually the reverse side of the work, which could give a blanket a really interesting and cool look to it. If you did them all the same, but maybe, you know, did one this way, stacked in a row. I don't know, could look really, really cool. Okay, now just kind of looking at it, because as you can see from my example piece, I definitely haven't worked any kind of border stitches into it. This is just my raw edges with my ends tied in. I deserve a pat on the back. If you've watched my videos before, you know that I loathe weaving in my ends, and I'm not cutting that. What am I even thinking? So I try to look and see. I always like to first do single crochets and do them evenly. However, when I first started crocheting and people would say evenly, it kind of bothered me that I didn't have a stitch count. So I'll kind of show you where I like to put placement. And so I don't have to cut my yarn, I'll do a couple of chains to meet the height of that double crochet there, so it doesn't pull down the work, make it look unsightly. So I place that first single crochet, and sometimes it takes a little bit of figuring out, but I think it's looking like 3, maybe 4 to each space. Put 1 here. So I did that chain, 1, 2, 3, 4 into the eye of it. Let's see if that 4 works itself out. 1, it's not really looking like it. It's looking more like 3. 1, 2, and then again into the eye there from those shell stitches, place the 3rd. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3. So that looks pretty dang straight to me for that edge. But now we have this corner here. So I'll see how chain 2 will look when I come back around and place 1 of the single crochets here. Along the bottom, it's easier. See how that's looking. Looks pretty good. And now you can just work 1 into each of your stitches, which by working the back bumps, it was supposed to make this easier. I guess I didn't really think about the chains being a problem, so I'm not even going to hassle with trying to go through the bottom loop of that chain. You might want to. It will probably make your work look cleaner than mine looks. But I'm not trying to strain my eyes for that right now. And I remember from that first row that we did skip 2. So I know that only 2 single crochets should go into those spots. One, two, and then here's our first or last stitch, I guess, of that foundation. We want to mimic what we did on this side. So I'm going to chain 2. I'm not going to work back into that single crochet. I'm going to work into that chain spot like we did on the other side. Work 2. I'm just going to kind of work through that standing double crochet. 1, 2, and then the third in that eye. Now, if you remember from this side over here, I did those 2 chains when I first started so it wouldn't bunch down my work. I'm going to do the same over here. 1, 2, and then I'll just slip stitch to that top to see how I like it. Instead of doing another one, I know these stitches are already even and easy to work into. There it is. You might need a little bit of blocking if you like to have real crisp edges and straight lines. Blocking is a great option. If you're not sure what blocking is, it's basically using a block of wood. I actually have one handy that I can show you. Just give me a sec. Okay, so here's my blocking board. Let's bring this camera up just a little bit. Still doesn't quite get the whole thing in, but I'll get it to where it's at least squared up. And then oftentimes I've seen people kind of damp down their work. And you find your corners of where you want the edges to be. Secure that first one down. Find your next corner. Use this one down here. Now there's other pins too. I think I'm on the wrong one there because that's not looking straight to me. I like it to be a little bit more tight, and this obviously isn't quite square, but I have multiple little wooden dowels to square it off even more or make my edges, you know, a little bit more tight. So then I would just simply spray it down. Sometimes I add a little bit of essential oil to my water, just a tiny bit, like a drop or two. Leave a small amount of space. You don't want them completely soaked, but then you just let them dry. And after you take them off, they're so much easier. And I think I have a post here on my page about what a square looks like before and after blocking it. It really does make a big difference, but it also, you know, it's not necessary. It's not necessary, but it does help show the small detail in your work. And that's about it for today, you guys. I'm going to hop off here and go make some lunch. And also, once this video is posted, I will definitely go back, and I think I'm going to have my little man just kind of scroll through the comments, and I'm going to let him pick the winner. Just so it doesn't seem like I picked it or anything, you know, picking favorites. I love all of you equally, and I appreciate everybody who jumped on today, joined in the conversation, commented on my work, shared my work, liked my work. You guys are what constantly keeps me creating and wanting to share with you guys. I always have a lot of fun. Thanks again for watching. You guys will be hearing from me soon. Happy hooking and happy Tuesday. Bye, guys.